Water on tap.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Critical Introverts podcast. I'm your host, Senor Filth. I kind of have a bit of a full house today, but today we have a Beezinktoys on the show. If you want to introduce yourself.
Well, hey, I am Beezy Ink and Toys. You can just call me Beezy. I am a cartoonist looking to, just spread Christian conservative values and to help to empower artists to do the same.
All right, cool. We also have Dave McDowell. If you want to introduce yourself, Dave.
I'm Dave McDowell. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Am I
got you.
on?
Yeah, you're
Hello?
on.
I'm an artist, a painter, acrylic on canvas. I paint political, mainstream media, talking point, garbage. And a lot of people love me, and a lot of people hate me. So you be the judge, whatever.
We also have Vine Arts. I'm not sure if she's on.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hey. If you just want to introduce yourself.
Okay, well, hello. I am an illustrator and also an amateur graphic novelist. I make Christian conservative artwork as well as a lot of stuff that kind of shows a lot of Disney and Castlevania. If you guys want to check out my content, it would be appreciated. I am doing two children's books that need some support.
All right. And we have back for a long time. We have TM Hands. Is she on?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All
up,
right.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, I'm TM Hands, and I am a graphic artist and a comic book author, creator, author. I say both. Yeah, and I'm a conservative artist. I've just now recently started branching out, doing more controversial stuff a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
But I'm here.
All right, and just
Yay,
came
another
on.
girl.
Yes.
And someone just came on. My co-host, Benevolent Asshole. If you want to quickly introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's David.
Yeah. All right.
I say go by David, but I forgot my real name is David, but
Yeah.
I go by Benevolent Asshole.
All right. So for BZ, I guess, what made you start to, create the content that you are creating? Because it's humorous, it's comic booky, but it does have a kind of conservative. Would you say Christian conservative or just conservative message to it?
It kind of switches between both. I'm trying to kind of angle it more Christian, but yeah, 2020 kind of red pilled and Christ pilled me. I was raised in the church, but really went into deep relationship with everything that went down in 2020. So when I initially came back, it was just to make regular pop art, your standard fare, take your popular characters and remix them in your own style.
Yeah.
But over time, I was just kind of like, what, we have committed social suicide at this point by espousing these views. Your old friends aren't really around anymore. Why not just go ahead and begin refresh and anew? And I was kind of taking advice from, digital business professionals. So I stuck to what I knew and what I was learning and niched down. And sure enough, I found a kind of a small community that likes what I post. And I love doing it because it's attitudes that I think, in our society, we need to be echoing more. So that is the path.
Yeah. Do you get any pushback from old followers or anything like that?
No, not really. There's only a handful of people that follow me. Most of them are, good friends, and I love them for sticking around. But a lot of them are either apolitical or are liberal, and just straight up don't agree. We don't talk very much about it, and that's fine with me. But for the most part, every one of my older followers were just friends from college, friends from high school, and we just don't associate anymore.
Really? Like, did you lose any friends because of the stuff that you've been posting, or?
Yes, I did. One good friend actually. He all but ghosted me, and I even reached out and was like, "Hey, yo, like let's talk about it. Let's be men here. We could talk about our differences because I think the same thing happened to me with my red pills.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he blue pilled harder, and he's just lost, man. It's sad, but yeah, a lot of other people falling off, and I've tried to follow back and reach out, and just got no hear back. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm at a point where like I'm not sure if people are disassociating with me or because I'm busy trying to do this show and other stuff. I just literally just haven't really heard much from a lot of older friends and stuff like that. So I hope it's not the case that they don't want to have anything to do with me, or it just kind of feels like that sometimes when I do talk to them. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer. Seeing like this stuff affect people's relationships when I don't think it should. Um, I don't know. Hold on a second.
I think
That's
that
why
a lot of it is that mental block that people have been going through. Post Trump. I think that like as COVID hit, it just got to like a worse state of mind. Everybody's been like turned into it's either before it was Trump, now it's either vaxxed or unvaxxed, and now we're going into like this whole entire new age of thinking where it's uh Russia versus being pro Ukraine now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the whole Ukraine Russia thing for me, I don't really care that much about it. I'm more frustrated with like all of a sudden people's interest in this stuff when I've been trying to tell them like things of like, inflation's bad, we should consider that. Shutdowns are bad, we should consider that. And I would just get, just blank stares, and now all of a sudden people care about this stuff. Stuff that's happening in another country. I really don't know how to communicate with people nowadays sometimes. Um, I don't know. Do you guys feel the same at all with this kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
I think people are not willing to listen just by association. So if it's something that you're saying that's associated, even just a little bit, that's like counter narrative, that's like more right wing, libertarian, anything that is associated with conservative or Trump, they just shut down. So they're not going to listen to you.
Mm.
And the other problem that I run into, to go back to not being able to talk to friends or people ghosting you, it's funny because just like I think all of us would rather just draw and do our thing, but
Yeah.
it's impossible. Like politics has been injected into every single thing.
Yeah.
So even if you try to joke around with your friends, it's like the politics is going to be there. And I've had friends like, okay, I'm your friend, but don't bring up certain people or certain things, or even if you try to be neutral, if it's like like remotely associated to a right wing commentator or somebody, they'll just be like, hey, don't talk about that. It's almost like they're afraid that they're going to be associated with that.
Hmm.
And it's funny because like one of my best friends that ghosted me too is like the company that he works for, like they're super political, and they came up with like this super big Biden Kamala Harris poster, just like super like just looks like this big time propaganda.
Hmm.
I look at
Mhm.
that stuff and I'm just like it's like, dude, you just told me like you don't want have a like you don't want to be involved with politics, but then like you're working for a company that is so one sided.
Yeah.
It just there's no way. Like we have to like confront it head first,
Hmm.
just like because like, politics is going to be there either way. I'd rather just be drawing and not think about it, but it's just in our lives already. They're pushing. We're in a war where it's just these ideas, these terrible ideas. It's not right wing or left wing, but there's these terrible ideas that they're trying to put into like pop culture, and it's just changing people for the worse.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what I have to say.
do you think there's a way back, like to make pop culture just fun again and not just neutral and fun? Because
The only way I can think of is if we actually like say to God Himself, "Lord, we're broken. Please help us." First thing we got to do is know that we're messed up and humbly ask Him to help.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it
think
worked for
that
me, and now I see a heck of a lot better of what everybody else is happening. And heck, I even had a girl come up to my work dressed, or not dressed, her friggin' hair was colored the same color of the Ukrainian flag.
oh
geez.
god,
Man,
Uh,
Well, yeah, I think the way they control people is that they always take like an idea or something that everybody is going to agree. Like we can all agree, like racism, that's bad. Like war is bad, all this stuff, but they manipulate it in a way where it's like fitting their agenda.
yeah,
It's not really like anti-war, anti-racism. It's like they're just getting people to think to be on their side. They're just controlling the narrative into whatever it is that they want from people.
Yeah,
yeah.
they manipulate
in
the
fact,
Hmm.
sorry.
they manipulate the emotional part of the stories. Like, oh, okay, so there's families and stuff getting bombed, I guess, in Ukraine. So they're not going to show what's really going on there. Instead, they're going to just pull at your heartstrings by showing you all the emotional stuff that brings you in. So then once you see that visual, your heart is already in there, and you're, instead of thinking about the real narratives that are really going on, you're thinking of, okay, well, there's a hurt family out there. I have a family now. You're emotionally connected with this family that you don't know, if even if they're real or fake. You're drawn to them because you have a family, you have friends and stuff like that. So they're going to bring that into you, and then they're going to draw on that, keep it going, and just tell you more stories that are connected to that, and then blame everything else on what's going on the opposite side to keep you hooked
Mhm.
on their side, on their agenda.
and that's one thing that the left does so extremely well is that, the whole time they have a whole agenda. They're promoting evil. I believe Benevolent Asshole, you mentioned that it's neither right nor left because it's not a Democratic or Republican issue. It's just straight up good versus evil. And so what they do is they have these evil, insidious kind of agendas and ways that they're trying to kind of promote degeneracy and whatnot to the American public and their own personal schemes, but they find a way to emotionally tie it to the people, as you said. And that's one thing that I think I need to say more, and I think we should all take into account is that we have to form our own emotional narratives because really the facts and logic are on our side.
Mm-hmm.
We see it. Now, how do we take that to the people to make them relate to it? The problem is that every time we go to people with the facts, they're quick to dismiss it as a conspiracy theory. We all know the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 6 to 12 months. But we have to find a way to communicate this to the people that, hey, this is affecting you. And I think it's working. I think that on the whole, I think a lot of people are beginning to wake up. Dave, you mentioned before we started how, you've kind of had your red pill moment as well. And we begin to wake up a little bit, but on a mass scale, I don't know what that quite what that looks like. And but like Yvonne said, I guess that's how we need to appeal to God to empower us to be able to say what we need to say in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I personally
Well,
don't
we all
think that
walked
we're
in.
gonna. Oh, sorry.
Go Dave.
Oh no, go ahead. I just was gonna say we all walk into heaven single file, so don't worry about being ghosted. I ain't never gonna ghost any of you. Don't worry about it. Maybe you want me to, and I will. No feelings lost. You got to think for yourself. The main relationship you have is between you and Jesus Christ. And that's about
Yes.
it. So if people turn their back on you or don't talk to you anymore, I'm not a victim. I used to be a really good victim, but I'm not one anymore. So I'm not going to put myself in situations where, oh, they'll come around. Oh, I can forgive them for their little sin here and there. No, man, get right with yourself. Get right with God. Forgive them, but forget them sometimes too, man.
Leave it
You
in
got
God's
to.
hands.
You got to let people never stop the enemy from destroying themselves. You know what I'm saying? Let them go destroy themselves and they'll come back when they're good and ready. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I got like an interesting message from one of my, I guess, old coworkers, or you can say like friends too, from like back in the day, because I mentioned something about the high gas prices,
Uh-huh.
and I was trying to be like as nice as possible, just like text, like messaging back and forth, and then eventually I got him to like message me back on Instagram, where he said something interesting, something about not being able. It was like a really nice mess, like two like little paragraphs of like nice message talking about well, you can't change the world and all this, and it's true. I think what's important to know is that a lot of people that are on the left, they feel that they can change the world because so many things are behind them, like the media, pop culture, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why they join the herd, because like, oh, I feel like I can make an actual difference because they see so many people doing this, doing that, and then when it comes down to like standing alone, they're like, oh well, I'm just like one person. I can't really change the world just on my own. I think I think it's a good point. Like you should not, even though like you might feel like you're alone. I think that's what they're trying to do, try to make everybody feel alone, and that's why having these conversations with other artists is good, because I think there's like a lot of censorship going on too, like on Instagram. So it's like harder to find each other, people that are like more like minded, that think the same way. And I'm seeing a
Very
lot
true.
of shadow banning. A lot of times where I can't find certain accounts, even if I type the whole name out. So yeah, just don't feel alone. Like even if you feel like you're alone, I think you can still make a difference just talking. And because if you guys think about, like, I don't know, like when you whenever you guys got your red pill moment, it's, I mean, you were probably like listening to somebody else, somebody that you probably could not relate to. It's like, well, this guy, like, I don't like him, I don't like what he's saying. But like, the more you listen to that person, you're like, oh, okay, well, this guy's actually smart, as making a lot of sense, and it
Mm-hmm.
seems that I don't know as much as I thought I knew.
Mm.
So you actually invest more time into like listening to that person, and most of the time, like we kind of like started, or our minds started to open up to like to more things just because of that one person. So
Yeah.
if you can open that somebody else's mind, I mean, I mean, you're gonna make a difference if you can open up like somebody else's mind. I know, like sometimes we might try to convince our friends,
Mm-hmm.
and those are the people that we care about the most. Try to convince them, okay, like this is what's going on. But more than likely, those are the people that you're not gonna be as successful
Yeah.
Yeah.
at. Is like the people you're gonna be successful at opening up their mind are gonna be people that you indirectly sort of affect, and you're just not going to know about it. Maybe you might hear about, oh, thanks for like saying something. Like, I don't know you, but thank you for saying speaking up your mind. Because I've actually gotten messages like that where I try to hold back so much, but like sometimes I have to say something, and I've gotten messages from other artists like, thank you for like saying something, because
Mm-hmm.
this is crazy. This is like clown world. Like, I mean, how can people think this way? But I
Mm.
mean, it's just people are kind of, it's a matter of speaking out. That way, people aren't like afraid, and
Yeah.
people don't feel like they're alone. Okay, I'll stop.
How did like how would you guys describe like your quote unquote red pill moment? Because for me, I was just kind of always someone that just liked to just go on the internet and search things because I'm just that kind of person. So it was a slow build for me. It wasn't like this moment where I saw the Matrix or some shit like that. Like, was it the same for you guys? Was it like a slow burn, or was it like a moment that you're like, oh, what the hell's going on?
I guess, yeah, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
So, so my moment. Okay, so I've always been Christian, but I've always liked hanging around the more, I guess, quote unquote, liberal people because they were just more fun to be around.
Yeah.
And I could talk to them about my faith. I could talk to them about Jesus, and we could always. And then the next minute, we're talking about our favorite anime.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like my moment, again, like when I started noticing that something was really, really off was when Trump said that he was going out for the presidency. All of a sudden, this man who was so beloved was so hated, and I'm not, and you all remember, like, it wasn't just like, oh, I don't like this man. It was like they are wishing this man dead and wanting to
Yeah.
corner him. And I'm just like, isn't this a little bit too much? Like, just for one man, especially knowing that where he comes from, like, he's so loved from where
Yeah.
he is. So then, like, I'm hearing it from my school. I'm hearing it from my para RP group, and what really set it off was just like how bad it really was. Is that when he did win, one of my friends, actually, it was that one girl that I told you about the other week. She actually was saying, Danielle, don't worry, Trump will not divide us. And then in the back of my mind, I was like, Trump was never the one I was worried about.
Yeah.
And then, like, thinking about it, I was like, they are going after him because he's standing for conservatism, for pro-life, for Christian values. And they were, like, attacking all of these, saying that he was against the LGBT. And I'm like, how? He did not say anything like that. Even close friends with me at my art school were saying they were against Trump. And it's just like, you guys don't even know what he's standing for. And so that was when it began to go downhill for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually the first U.S. president to acknowledge LGBT marriage and relationships before going into office, too. So
yeah,
I don't even know where that come from.
That's how I know that they were crazy in the first place. Like, I'm for traditional marriage. I will forever be. But I also know, like, people have emotions toward their same sex. I'm not going to say you're condemned to hell automatically for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trump was a weird thing. It was like this sort of like worlds colliding of like pop culture and politics kind of coming along. It was odd because when he first ran, I was sort of loosely following the the race, but just in a boring way. You know what I mean? Like it was something. I'm not gonna go to a party and be like, "Oh, y'all saw the fucking debates." Like no one does that. It's boring. But then like when Trump came along, it started like seeping into like trendy pop culture, and it was just like this so much like bullshit going on, and I was just like, this is really bizarre, but I don't think this is gonna lead to anything good. Like having it popular like that, kind of a dangerous mix.
As I keep on it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I think what ended up happening was that the establishment had gone on for so long. I mean, you had Clinton, you had Bush, you had Obama, and we all know these guys are all eating out of the same hat. I think that they figured that they had the American public by the balls, so to speak, so much, and they just had it in the bag. But when Americans showed up and voted Trump in, they were like, holy crap, and they were basically running damage control for 4 years straight. And I know that stories are coming out now, and I don't want to make any official claims or anything like that, but we all know the election has something fucky going wrong with it, if I can say that. And I just don't think that they were prepared, but they are in lockstep now, and they're keeping that ironclad because they know that they don't have the American public anymore, and Trump got to help to get people awaken. A lot of people experience their awakening because of him.
Yeah, a lot of people were just noticing like how much lies went into this stuff. And I think everybody suspected that, but it was just like so blatant and so obvious and just bizarre to just see it all unfold like that and continue to just all crumble. It's a weird time to live through.
See, for me, I don't think I ever really had a full blown like red pill as everybody always like
Yeah,
describes it as. Like, I mean, I've always been into to paranormal stuff, trying to seek the truth, X-Files ish,
yeah.
and then like, I mean, I never really thought about politics because it just wasn't in my line of sight.
Hmm.
I don't know if that would be like a red pill moment of like realizing that politics matter, I guess. Um, but like now I notice that after Trump, before Trump, like I was like, I don't know why he's running. I didn't hate Trump. I didn't necessarily like Trump. I just thought he was a goofy dude that was always that hosted like the freaking uh pageants and stuff.
Yeah.
You fired.
And like that was it. Like he was just this funny dude, and he would just have like he was a funny millionaire that would like make random appearances in places and stuff. But he was a millionaire. He was hella popular, within like the rap industry, within like the acting industry, like period. And so like a friend of mine who's conservative, he was like, "What? Trump's running?" And then like I'm like, "Yeah, it's weird." And he's like, "But it's hilarious." And and then so he's like, "But what if he won?" He's like, "Yeah, he's probably not gonna win. He's probably not gonna win." Everybody that I knew of that was conservative kept thinking, "Yeah, he's probably not gonna win," or that it was like a gimmick.
Hmm.
Um, and then I started listening to the debates, and this fool was making a lot of sense. Like even
Hmm.
like he was joking at times, but like you just couldn't help but like his personality. At least not like for me. Like
That was the weirdest part for me too, because it's just like freaking dude looks like an orange, a walking orange, but yet he's so likable. His sarcasm is incredible. Like so, and now I freaking adore it.
yeah, like that was like the big thing for me was like I'm like watching this dude on all these shows before, and then now I'm watching him on these debates, and he's like making fun of all these people on the debate stand, and it's like this dude is like completely like unlike any of these other people. Like he
Yeah.
completely stands out. And then like as like the people were
He's not
getting
a
like,
liar.
well, that too,
Yeah.
and then you start like looking into a lot of stuff. I think that the moment that I decided that I was going to vote for Trump, it was when I noticed all the hate just start piling on, because before nobody really cared that he was running.
Hmm.
Like, and then as soon as like he really made the cut and he really started having interviews, like solo interviews with shows and everything, is when I think they started taking him more serious. And then that's when all these scandals and fake stories started coming out, like the P tape and all, and all this other crap.
Yeah.
And then the video of him on the bus
The
came
pussy
out.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, grab her by the pussy. And then that I think was my main moment of, you guys are a bunch of fucking liars. Pardon my
Yeah.
French.
No,
But
you're good.
But that was it.
yeah.
And after like I watched that tape so many times, I'm like, that isn't what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It wasn't what he was saying either. And then like after that, like after he got elected, just more like wordplay was going on every time he'd open his mouth and say something. What was it, Charlottesville?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's good people on on both sides. Like nobody heard what he was saying. They just wanted to call him a white supremacist and that he's supporting white supremacy. And it was like, why aren't these people listening? Like, why can't they hear? And I don't know if that was like a red pill moment to me, but I feel like after that point, I realized that there are some people who are extremely stupid and deaf, like to words, and then there's people that can actually hear a whole conversation and not be brought into the pick
Mhm.
and pool of what's being said. And like even now in COVID, it's still going on, but like it's like they took it to a whole new level where like you can hear someone talk about, like you can hear the doctors talk about COVID, but then the media pick and pull certain audios like the ivermectin story, you know, and then they pick and pull evidence of ivermectin, and then immediately they just say, well, they use this in veterinary medicine, so it's horse dewormer.
Yeah.
You know, like the chloroquine. Oh, it's not medicine, it's fish
It's
cleaner.
fountain fish tank cleaner, so
Yeah,
that's what it
like
is.
it didn't end. Like no matter what, like they would take a fact and then line it up with something else that was resemblance of that fact
Mhm.
and run with that idea instead, and then confuse people that have no idea what's going on.
The one thing that I loved about Trump, like in the beginning, when I was like first getting to know more about him, was that he would say a lot with just a few words, and it was so refreshing because the only reason I would never like really listen to politics was because I could tell that a lot of these politicians, like they talk in circles, like what's her name, Kamala and Nancy Pelosi, Schumer,
Oh, they're
all of them.
great. I like them.
They're all going in circles. They're not saying anything. They'll talk for like an hour. They won't say anything.
Yeah, did you hear
And
that?
Kamala.
Like the whole, they basically play a circus with words.
Yeah, yeah. But Trump would be like, bam, bang, bang, like just burn somebody with 3 words.
Did you hear that? That breakdown of the Ukraine that Kamala did, where she's like, it's something like, oh, like
Oh, okay, I
Ukraine is
remember,
a
yeah.
country.
Yeah,
big
Ukraine is a country.
Yeah.
Wow. I
Ukraine is a
wow.
country. It's really small and it's next to Russia. Russia's a big country, so they took advantage of
Like,
Ukraine, and
wow.
that's a bad
Lady,
thing.
do you think we're stupid? Like, how
Oh,
stupid
man.
It's
are
like she's
you?
trying to explain
It's
like
not.
to like
It's
a
not that
kindergarten
Kamala.
class.
Yeah, it's not that Kamala thinks that we're stupid. It's that Kamala is off that pack, and it's making her stupid. So
Yeah.
she's explaining it the best that she knows how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly what he said. Like I necessarily don't think that she's stupid. I don't think that she's stupid. I I really don't.
Debatable.
But I think that she doesn't understand. I think that the problem is that this issue is a really big issue. Like there's like underlying issues that aren't being said,
Mhm.
and they know that, but she doesn't know how to not lie about it.
Yeah.
So instead of lying about
Yeah.
it, because she can't lie about it, she just tries to make up something that sounds like it's not a lie.
Well,
You know?
what I've noticed like recently is that she'll just start describing like where she's at and what she's doing. She's like, well, like I'm right here. I'm sitting next to the stage, and today's a sunny day, and we need to make sure that you guys are earning money and make sure that you're taking every breath one
Yeah.
day at a time.
That's literally what
And
she
the
said.
sun is
Yeah.
hitting me right now. I'm right here. I'm wearing a jacket, and there's this guy standing next to the doorway. It's like say something. It's just like naming the things that are around her.
It's because she doesn't know how to lie about anything. So instead, she's going to just go completely off topic. Because
Yeah.
if she tries to lie,
Yeah.
she's going to reveal the truth.
Yeah.
Like that's what's
Reverse.
going to happen.
So she's basically trying to excuse herself by saying squirrel.
Exactly. And that's what I've noticed. Like her laughing. Whenever she
Yeah.
like breaks out into like the laughing fit, it's because
You know, I call her
she's
hyena
afraid of it.
Kamala.
Yeah. Which like she's like afraid of speaking because she knows that she's probably going to let something slip out of her mouth that she knows that she'll get in trouble for. So instead she just like I don't know.
Well, She thinks
Yeah.
that people just seeing her laugh will associate that. Oh yeah, well she's doing a good job. Like, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what she says. She's laughing, so that must be a good thing. And
It's
people
not
just
working.
I know
It's not working.
it's not working for us, but like there's people that still kind of like eating that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love too about Trump is that like every time he would talk, it's like he was holding a flashlight and like, look at this guy over here in Minnesota, look at this mayor, or look at this guy, and it just got me reading and like looking up. Oh, this guy really did this and he did that and like
Mm.
shit.
Yeah,
It's
he's
like
really
so.
good at
There's
throwing the spotlight on an
yeah, he
issue.
put the spotlight on so many corrupt people that it was just like beautiful to see.
Yeah. But enough about
Well,
Trump, though.
he threw that spotlight on Dr. Fauci during one of the briefings, and I don't know if you guys caught that. He like said something about something about the corrupt left and big pharma or something like that, and he said something, I can't remember what he said, but he said something about Fauci, or Fauci knows a lot about these people or something like that, and the look on his face was just like, oh, I can't believe he just said that. He just like basically threw me under the bus. But I don't think anybody really noticed it, because like Trump, the way that he does it too is like so subtle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in your face, but it's subtle,
Yeah.
and like only the smart will be able to catch it. You know.
That's very true.
Yeah, I got it.
Actually, look, speaking of slip of the tongue, there have been more than one politician, although Jen Psaki isn't exactly a politician, she's a suck-up. Hasn't anyone else noticed that President Obama keeps getting misspoken by the other politicians? They're always saying President Biden, and then it's just like, why do each of you keep saying this? Like, is
Because
anyone
you
else
already
noticing?
know.
Because it's that whole image, like that's what sort of like what the left has turned into, like this sort of image over substance kind of movement. It's really staged. It's like a script. It's like this weird staging. It's odd. They don't care about the details, the facts. They just care if something has the image of being presidential and sounding good and.
I mean, Biden does neither look more sound presidential. So.
Nah, he doesn't. He's
Yeah. Well, I think it
Well,
plays into
they
the
need
whole
like an
thing of
idiot.
yeah.
I was just gonna say that they just needed like an
yeah.
idiot to get away with all the stuff that he's getting away with. Because like with Trump, with somebody like Trump that has like an intelligence, he couldn't get away with stuff like this.
Mhm.
It's like somebody that you work with that gets away with all this stupid shit all the time. That doesn't do anything. The reason why he gets away with it because people have low expectations of that person.
Yeah.
And the same thing, Biden, they have low. They feel sorry for him because a lot of people see him as like the grandfather. Oh, that could be like my grandfather. Poor guy, like he can't remember what he did last night. But it's
Yeah.
okay that there's a conflict going on over there, like in Ukraine and Russia. Who cares about inflation? It's worth it.
Okay, seriously, who have you met who was like, poor Biden? Because I am almost seeing comments every single day incinerating the man.
Yeah, I don't
Shoot,
know anybody who
I
likes
say
him.
poor Biden. I say poor Biden. I mean, they got this
Yeah.
man barely strung up. They got iron rods and got him on methamphetamines, got him hopped up, and he crashes in the middle of speeches, and
He's
you
like a
know, and
puppy.
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
literally. And I think the reason why they keep saying Obama is because it's basically a continuation. Like I said, I very much believe that they thought that they had it. They thought they had it in the
Yeah.
bag, that they had us brainwashed, they had us pitted. And when Trump proved that that wasn't the case, they were like, nah. So they got it all laid out. Joe Biden was the guy that they could was the front man that they could put up front, and they got everything working in the background.
Yeah, I think Biden's just the fall guy.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, he's got like some kind of mental decline, whether it be dementia or just being really, really old. Who knows? But eventually, like he's like what, 90 or 80? She's like 80 something.
He's up
Like
there.
he's gonna die soon. Like they don't give a shit.
Yeah, this is
You know?
Obama's second term. Like you guys saw that one episode of Stephen Colbert where he Obama admits that
Oh
he
yeah,
wishes he
yeah.
had like another term He's like, if I could
Oh
be
yeah,
like in
that
the
he will go under the
basement
basement.
Yeah.
and I could have like
Yeah.
an earpiece and I can communicate to the president, the current president, like what to do. Yeah, I would do it, and then they kind of just laughed about it, and that's what's going on because Nancy Pelosi, a bunch of people like in the White House have mentioned the Obama
Yeah.
Build Back plan like multiple times, and
Yeah.
they're making it too obvious. I know.
Yeah, I think they get too carried away with like
Too
the
carried away.
the
How are they not?
I think they get carried away with like the how just something sounds in their head and like they just stick to it, and when you sort of like try to explain like the logistics as to like why that thing won't work, they won't grasp it. It's something that I've sort of like noticed like where the division's coming from. It's like people that just like have this image in their head and they just kind of latch onto it, and people that are more about the details and they just like, I want to know how this is gonna work.
I think that everybody knows that it's not going to work.
Mhm.
I think the issue is that the people that are really, really running the show right now are compromised. So they're going to do whatever they need to do to keep certain things from getting out about themselves. I think that that's what's going on, and the only way that they can do that is to yield to whoever is in control of whatever bad shit they've got on them.
Mhm.
That's what I think. I mean, like this whole entire like all of the Trump administration, like length was basically information being released, or the fear of information being released on these people in the swamp. And as Biden got into office, like their files are basically being buried right now, and they're trying to cover it up with COVID. They're trying to cover it with now Ukraine. They're trying to cover it up with inflation. They created all these things, and I'm pretty sure that everything that they have stopped that Trump did are probably tied in to whatever it is that they're hiding.
Mhm.
I mean, Ukraine, right? They're the whole Burisma thing. That was all taking place in Ukraine. So
Yeah.
right now they're going to cover up whatever's going on in Ukraine because they don't want Putin to get a hold of whatever's going on in Ukraine and release that information. Like
Well,
that's
they
probably what they're really afraid of.
There you go.
yeah, and
You know?
they've already admitted to the whole biolab thing. You guys heard about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I heard
Yeah.
about that too.
And
Yeah.
they're already
Yeah, to
trying
be
to like.
honest, when I
man-
saw it, I was just like, "Is this for real? Are they just letting it out just like that?"
Well, it's because they're trying to get ahead of the narrative, and I don't know if you guys saw that one thing where the one lady, I think she was wearing like a blue dress, kind of like heavier set, and she was talking to Marco Rubio, and they kind of set it up in a way where they're trying to get ahead of the narrative by admitting to it. So they made an admission to it. Oh yeah, there's biolabs on the border of Russia and in the Ukraine, and these are like U.S. funded biolabs. But then Marco Rubio, I think he does like a follow-up question where he says,
Yep.
okay, so if Russia gets their hands on these biolabs, you think they'll do something bad?
Yeah, he was
And
like
sort of
totally
question,
leading her.
and then
He
the
was
girl,
leading her.
yeah, and then the girl's like, yes, that's the kind of thing that Russia would do. It's like, shut the.
Yeah, yeah. He
It's
was
like-
totally leading her the whole time. Like as soon as he realized that she probably said something she wasn't supposed to, he like, oh, but this is something that the Russians would do,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like,
Exactly.
come on.
Yeah,
Softballs.
yeah, it's.
Well, I mean, like going off of that, like what is it? The whole release of the idea of a false flag coming. Like, is it really a false flag, or is it going to be real footage that you're going to label as false flag?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
they're saying that, oh, well, Ukraine. I think that they said that Ukraine. I don't even think that they said that it was Russia. Or I think that they said that Russia was going to release a false flag narrative to
Mhm.
make Ukraine look bad, which tells me that, you know what? It probably isn't a false flag. They probably did some shady shit and they've got video evidence of it.
Mhm.
But they have to get ahead of the narrative, like David said, and they have to like try to cover their ass before it actually happens.
Yeah, minimize the blow.
Yeah.
Yep.
right, let's move away from that kind of stuff. Let's ask
That's too controversial.
BZ.
No, I actually want to know more about BC.
Yeah, yeah. We're I guess if you want to get into like your general like frustrations with like just the conservative mainstream movement, if there's anything in particular.
Well, when I first came back, raised, conservative Christian, didn't really know what that was about until 2020. That was kind of my red pill moment, was seeing everything going crazy, the election, the BLM riots, the whole George Floyd situation, and everything going that way. And I was just like, wow, humanity on its own is going to crumble and implode. And if we don't get into Jesus, we are going to go to hell, essentially, both literally and spiritually. So in that, my mission then became to kind of impart, that way of thinking. And it wasn't until recently where I developed sort of the hierarchy in my mind that starts with God and then trickles down into humanity. I think that, men needed to be stronger, and that women needed to kind of a little bit of falling back in some ways. And I'm not one of those that is just like women
Please,
shut
please,
up and
please,
do
please,
everything.
please take
But
the wheel, men. We're done. I'm done.
but and then you got to raise your children, and then you got animals and that kind of thing after that. And so after that, as you begin to kind of explore the movement more and see who the kind of the high people in the ranks and everything are, you begin to kind of see the patterns, and you see people that are very much about those causes, who are very much into what you're into, but then you also have a contingency that is stronger, that just doesn't care. The instance that most recently happened and that you can kind of see in real time is the difference between CPAC and AFPAC. How at CPAC, they're championing people like Lady Maga, who's this who's this MAGA drag queen. What are you conserving by inviting, MAGA drag queens to your event? And then you had the whole TPUSA party fiasco where they had basically strippers on stage and we're doing this, that, and the other. Like, what are we conserving by allowing these sort of laissez-faire leftist, I'd almost say libertarian ideas to manifest, to where we're having big blown out after parties and inviting guests like these into our events, versus the other side that's less popular because of what we believe. But I think it's what's going to lead to stronger societies and stronger families. And really, that's what's been attacked more than anything, is the idea of the family. And so I think that the way forward is, sort of the populist, America First kind of, mindset and movement when it comes to everything. And that slowly but surely we got to kind of chip away at that sort of surface level boomer. I call it, I got 3 different names for it. And BoomerCon, Barstool conservative, and booby conservatives are kind of the scourge here as well. So you kind of got to shun all that and speak on all that and uplift the more traditional hierarchical conservatism. So that's kind of my mission and what I'm out here doing.
Is there any conservative pundits that I guess you are a fan of, or are they all just shit to you?
It's a mixed bag, because there's a lot of people that are, surface level, your typical BoomerCon conservative Inc. type people. And again, it's one of those things that, to be honest, I'm not that knowledgeable of. I have not gone super deep into a lot of like the smaller candidates on smaller state levels. I'm more familiar with your Trumps, your DeSantis's, your heavy hitters that are actually speaking the things that we want, and familiar with the people who claim to be about it but don't really show it, like your Greg Abbotts in Texas and things of that nature. So as far as pundits go, I really, I kind of take them in tandem as they happen, as they roll out. Like, I'm starting to look into things in my own state, because we're basically all BoomerCon Inc. here in Mississippi. But on the mainline level, I think Trump's our guy, and maybe you got like DeSantis or something like that who would be a good fit as well.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like as far as like like Ben Shapiro type of people, like is there anyone?
Oh yeah. Well, not Ben Shapiro, not him,
Not him.
but not him.
Is there anything particular you just don't like about Ben, or?
He just kind of comes off as that again. That's the other caveat
Like a
too.
robot?
Is yeah, like a robot. He's very much espousing it. You're exactly right. Espousing the same typical shtick since 2012 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and just sticking with it. There's no nuance to it. There's nothing bold. There's nothing challenging about it, and it's that facts and logic thing that I think we have to break away from to appeal to emotional arguments. I guess if you're thinking about just people who are kind of like these ideologues. I don't know how familiar y'all are with Mr. John Doyle.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
That guy's
He's a
smart.
pretty,
he's like
yeah, no,
20 years old. He's smart.
yeah, no, dude's like a young genius.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. Pretty much everybody in the sort of American, populace union are good guys and have pretty great opinions. Nathaniel Abbott. Red Eagle Politics gives really good analysis on the little local breakdowns. He's kind of helping me to further educate on the political side of things. David Carlson gives great analysis. Uh, yeah, those guys are, my people that I kind of look to.
and you mentioned the whole what's her, Lady Maga? Like what was? I didn't really follow that much. Like what was the issue with the Lady Maga woman? Or
Well, as far as I'm concerned, because of course, I don't follow her or anything like that, but
Mhm.
I guess she's this, I don't know what they go by. I try to, I don't know. Lady Maga, we'll just refer
I call
to
them trannies.
by name.
the drag queen,
Well,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the drag queen, the tranny, whatever you want to say,
Tranny.
but just all about MAGA apparently. But the whole time you are promoting literal degeneracy in the form of drag queens, in the form of being this emasculated male, in the form of being a cross-dressing male. What are you conserving? What are you contributing to the society by appearing at this event and faluting around, talking about your magic, and having these parents, give their kids over to take pictures with them? This is our conservative movement on the mainstream. This is who we're uplifting and lauding as some of our best and brightest. If that's the platform that we're running on, then we're going to be doomed to fail. Because why would you follow Lady Maga on this BoomerCon sort of conservative front when you could just follow the other drag queens that are more fun and let you do whatever you want and appeal to your fleshly human nature?
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
Like
agree.
I mean, I suppose if I can put in my input, like both sides are corrupted. Like I am a Republican, but I know that there's some stuff that needs to be cleaned off from my side.
Yes.
That sounds like one of the things that really need to be cleaned out. So.
I agree with
There you
that.
go.
Like, hey, I agree that do what you want with yourself, with your life, or whatever. But I'm totally against this idea of being poisoned into our society. And like, as far as like being respectful to people's wishes, or however they want to perceive themselves, I'm all for that. Like, do you? But like when it goes to like a national level of like the world acceptance, I don't think that it should be promoted. It's like the whole abortion thing. Like, okay, women have abortions. Like that's just, it's always been that way.
Mhm.
Like it's either you are someone who is proud of it, which I think that's just disgusting, or you're someone who has gone through it, or you haven't, but you look at it as this is life, it shouldn't be that's not how it should be. Like, I think that all women like have this, like naturally have this idea about abortion and giving birth to a child as a sacred ground. Like, I personally know women who have had abortions, and none of them are, oh yay, let's go kill our babies. Like, nobody's saying that. But there's this generation of women who are like taking that, like any woman that I know that has had one, like they've spoken out saying that it is mentally like horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do it, and then it's like, why did I do this to myself, and why did I do this to my child? It is that mental break that they end up going through, like a postpartum thing, that we women go through. And that's not being talked about, and I think that should be talked about, but instead that's being ignored. And
Yep.
instead they're promoting this disgusting idea that that's women's health. Like, that's not women's health. You don't know the emotional levels that these women probably went through in society and with themselves. Like, I have a friend that was pushed into it by family. Like, she should have had that support to help her make a better decision for herself, but instead she was pushed into it by someone who thought that that's what she needed to continue in school. Like, that's not fair.
Mm.
Uh uh you're taking the ability for a woman to choose correctly. Like, if she didn't want to have the baby, hey, there's adoption, there's a lot of other ways to go about it. But
Mhm.
instead you're taking away those decisions, and you're just saying, no, this is what you need to do because this is better for you. Not
Yeah.
about the child, not about like your future, like how you might feel emotionally. This is how you're going to get through you, like you being poor, or you being in school, or stuff like that. And instead it's, well, this is the better choice.
Mhm.
Kill your baby. Like, who cares about your uterus? And if you have a future, want to be a mother, like in the future, like, there's no discussion about that. It's like they're taking away the real health issues that can come from abortion, and they're pushing this idea that that's how it is. I think that also goes with like the transgender thing. Like, they're
Mhm.
pushing uh gender for dysphoria. Wait, how do you say it?
Dysphoria.
Yeah,
Dysphoria, yeah.
dysphoria. And they're saying that that's normal. And again, like, they're forcing these women and these men to take hormones and stuff to mess up their reproduction system.
It's like the main goal is to basically starve out, or not starve out is not the right word, but basically just like erase a good portion of the human race. Like,
Yeah,
that
I
should be their
agree.
goal.
Genocide.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And that's
that is
exactly
what
what it is.
eugenics is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good way.
Eugenics.
Yeah. And that's why, and that's why in sort of my sphere, or at least, what I'm trying to cultivate, is that's why you kind of have to almost stamp that kind of thing out. And just, we think of gatekeeping as this really negative thing because it's been used to such negative effects for so long. But I almost say that when it comes to far off issues like that, like abortion and like the transgenders and stuff like that, you do have to kind of just put a stonewall there and just be like, no, because this is harmful for our society.
Yep.
People are born men, woman, and in the hierarchy properly understood, we raise the young boy to be a good, strong man with a good work ethic, with a good brain on his shoulders, who can exhibit strength, and we raise our women to be good women who know how to, run their houses, and to be, good, strong women who know how to stand behind, their eventual husbands and help them to, move forward with their families. But instead, we champion these ideas, or on the conning kind of side, we allow caveats. We're like, yeah, you're transgender, but you're also MAGA, so you're good. Or, yeah, you're over here promoting abortion, but you know what? You're MAGA, so you're good. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
we allow these people that have these damaging ideas to not only come into our movement, but then to rule it. And so that's how you get this broken system, and that's how you get this faux idea of conservatism that conserves nothing at all. And it's more popular, of course, because the world at large wants abortion. The world at large wants to be free, have promiscuous sex, or to explore themselves sexually. But that's not what God intended. And furthermore, that's not what we as conservatives should be championing, because we want strong communities. We want strong Christian conservative communities. And so you don't get it by having Lady Maga parade around your event. You don't get it by allowing caveats for abortion. You don't get it by, not conserving what needs to be conserved.
I agree with you halfway on that end note. I think that, but I think that when it comes to like societies, like the majority versus like the minority, I think that the majority is actually against that, but they're putting it so much in front of everybody that they're making it seem like it's normal. Like the majority is with that side. Like the whole
Mhm.
like Lady MAGA. I think that that's probably them trying to infiltrate and try to put keep that line of thinking going within our society as well, and our communities as well, in the conservative community. You know, it's just like how the gay community has infiltrated the church. You know, it's,
Mm,
oh well, come on, love is love, and you know, and if you read the Bible, that like no, like God doesn't say that. God is against homosexuality, man or female. You know,
yeah.
and instead of like sticking to it, they yield to it because they think that the masses want to hear it. And the truth is that's not how it is. I mean, like the masses will follow. Like I think that this COVID and everything post 2020, I think that that's proven that the majority will just yield to whatever think, you know, will keep them from will keep money in their pockets or keep food on their table, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and keep them thinking in a certain direction. I don't think that they really care. They just want to live their life. But if you keep
Mm,
throwing things in front of your face, I mean, which is why I think technology has taken such a huge boom. You know, like we have cell phones, we have iPads, we have like everything's moving from watching TV now. Now it's turning into internet, you know, and even like podcasts. You know, everything is now so digital and in your face and like in your hand all day long,
Mm-hmm.
that you know you're constantly getting this in your face, you know, energy going on. So like I don't think that necessarily it's that everybody thinks like there's a lot of people that are on that side. I think that there's a large number that's on that side, and they're
mhm.
promoting it so much. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's that algorithm. You know, they're pumping it out there. TikTok, YouTube, uh, Twitter, Facebook. They're ever since everybody's on those platforms 24 hours a day, it's being thrown in your face all that time. So then you start thinking and believing in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the biggest problem is that children now, you know, they have devices in their hands from freaking childbirth now. Like
Yeah.
as soon as your kid is old enough to hold an iPhone, now that kid's got a screen in front of their face like all damn day. And then what's going on? Like they're YouTube, they were generating all the other child grooming videos. Nobody wanted to
Yeah.
believe in that stuff, right? But there's grooming videos on there teaching kids about things that
Mhm.
they shouldn't even be even thinking about at that age.
Mm-hmm.
Can,
And then
Completely
boom, they're
undeterred and
can I,
monetized too.
can I say something about the LGBT community? The thing about them, like that, I don't think I said it before, but I wanted to say earlier was that with them is that I respect them, and they can do whatever they want. I mean, in terms of what's legal, but of course, but the thing is that there's a growing number of them that are coming over or saying that they're conservative, and a lot of them are doing like some good things. But thing is, out of the people that do exist that are gay or transgender, that associate themselves with conservative, none of them are like really saying anything about child grooming or about this bill in Florida. If they had like strong arguments
Mm-hmm.
to protect
yeah,
kids, but they're not going to have those
they're
strong
not.
arguments.
They're
And
not.
Mhm.
They're
that's
not.
my critique about the LGBT community is that they're not going to have firm convictions about where they stand about, especially like with the bill that just happened in Florida, the whole thing, the one that they're calling "Don't Say Gay," which is
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
fucking lie
stupid.
as well,
Which is so bizarre.
because it's really to protect the kids, which is kids in kindergarten to third grade, and it's also to protect the parents because the parents want to be able to know what it is that their kids are being taught, and there's no reason why kids in kindergarten should be talked about. I mean, there's about transgender issues, all that stuff. To be honest, is a fetish. It's a fetish. If you like a guy, that's
Yeah.
fine. If you're a guy and you like a guy, that's fine. But that's a fetish. That's not something that's natural. And that's not something that should be taught to kids at that age. Kids need to be taught the fundamentals of what's actually going to help them in their lives, which is the whole math and reading and just getting along with each other, just playing with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What happens just playing with each other?
yeah, that's the whole thing with the whole like public school crumbling in general. It's just like people are like, oh, they should be taught, CRT, all this crap. And I'm just like, why don't they just they're kids, just have them learn how to
Let them be
read,
kids.
write, do math,
Do a little math.
just anything ideological. Keep that shit away from kids. You know what I mean? That's just creepy.
Oh, that's kind of the whole thing, isn't it? Though they want to warp the mind and almost build their mind to accept anything that comes down the
To be-
pipe and
To accept
You know,
degeneracy.
to accept degeneracy. Exactly. I think that there's a darker motive involved, but I do think that y'all said something there. That's very true, that a lot of people just don't care and just want to be able to grill, for God's sake. But instead, they're being lauded with all this crap. And yeah, I guess that's why artists like us got to get ahead of the people and actually like speak on the issues and actually talk about why this is actually harmful, and then not only speak against the evil, but champion the good in our work as much as we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I highly agree.
On board.
But do you think there's is there any room within I guess your conservative, what you would define as true conservatism or whatever, for like a Lady MAGA kind of group of people? Or is that just drifting too far away from what you think conservatism should be?
I think it's drifting too far away. I simply don't. I just don't see a way forward for that.
You just think it's too much of like a degeneracy kind of seeping into it, or
It's too much of a degeneracy seeping into it, and when that kind of thing is championed. Now, it's a weird thing. It's one of those things where I almost want to tiptoe because I don't know what it's like to be gay, and but also have like conservative underpinnings. So I don't know how exactly you navigate that. All I know is that when you properly understand the hierarchy, if you are submitted unto God, you would look inside. I can say definitively from gay people that I know who put aside their desires in order to serve the greater good because they've realized what's going on here. So if they can put aside their desires and lay their plow to the field and do the work, then why should we allow caveats for an out and proud Lady MAGA type to come through and be one of these fixtures of attention? I don't see how that's going to be beneficial to our cause in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. But like, do you see that sort of? Do you see anything good with it, like sort of evolving into some kind of a, something that's open enough that could have a Lady MAGA type, but still kind of, fulfill overall what you like your beliefs? Do you see any kind of middle ground there, or do you there's just nothing?
I just don't see it. I don't see a way forward for anybody of that ilk to get along and be. I mean, like I said, if they were to be like those others that I know that realize that this is not the way to be, and have the respect for God and honor God at the top and try to make something of themselves in a season of singleness, or whether they're completely redeemed and maybe they do finally get back to the natural attraction or whatever the case may be. They're the ones that are going to, if anything, get us closer to where we need to be as a society. I don't know where,
May
you
I
know,
also
even,
interject?
sure, go ahead.
Okay, so like 9 times out of 10, like whenever a guy or girl is growing up, it's mostly because of trauma or maybe
Uh,
some.
can you speak a little louder, please?
Yeah, sorry. Is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Okay, so 9 times out of 10, it's due to trauma that a guy would want to become a girl or a girl would want to become a guy, and for those few when it doesn't, well, I don't know. However, a lot of people who I listen to who formerly were a part of that life, one of them said something interesting that really kind of helped me understand like where we are, that we as a society really need to encourage masculinity. But one of the ex transgenders actually said, had he been told that he was a handsome man when he was a little boy, instead of like, you look like a girl, he said that was what could have saved him from taking that road.
Mm.
And it's so strange how something so simple was neglected and it made such a drastic change with his life.
Well, that's then, you know, in the proper hierarchy, I think that we would do that. I think that we would, you know, encourage and train up our men, and we would encourage and train up our girls, and there'd be far less of even a chance that anybody would feel those feelings, let alone publicly, you know, declare them and display them and parade them around.
Mm.
As you know, but with respect to forgiveness and respect to people who, you know, espouse the right things, though they may be a bit confused, I'd say that perhaps if they came and wanted to truly change, then that would be the, I guess that would be the middle ground. I guess we would welcome them in, foster them in, and, you know, pray over them, get them, you know, whatever they may need, and try to help them with that, you know, changeover. Um, I don't think that we should. I think that we should shun those who are unrepentant and who are clearly just, you know, not even trying. But if someone is trying, then like, yeah, definitely try to help them as much as we can, and try to figure out what we can do, and how we can get them in onto the right path if that's possible.
Mhm.
But for somebody who's clearly unrepentant and just happens to be pro Trump, I just don't buy it.
Mm.
I had like an interesting conversation with not in person because I'm by myself most of the time, but I had like an exchange of messages. I guess you could say online, and it was with like another artist, and he was pro that one bill in Florida, the one that they're calling
The no
"Don't Say
gay.
Gay."
Yeah.
Don't say gay. So I was trying to get a little bit of his perspective on it, and it seems like I think he was. I'm pretty sure that he was gay, and so I was trying to get his perspective on the whole thing because he's like so like mad over what was going on over there, and it seemed to me that a lot of people that are actually gay, like Evine was saying, is that yeah, they've had some kind of episode or some kind of trauma where somebody like took sexually abused them as a kid, and that's the
Yeah.
reason like I think most people turn out being gay or transgender. And to move even further with that is that it's kind of ironic because that same artist, he was telling me, he's like, well, the people like kids in kindergarten to third grade should be able to talk to a teacher about these issues because what if they were touched as a little kid?
Mm-hmm.
So think about it. It's like, does that mean that you were touched as a little kid? So I think maybe kids do need to have that. There's a, there needs to be that support there, but I don't think you need to talk about transgender issues or about being gay at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's just the whole thing is ironic. I don't know if you guys see what I'm trying to say, but it's like a lot of the reason why people are gay is because somebody groomed them and touched them a certain way. And then with the whole thing with the whole bill is to essentially to turn kids gay.
Yeah.
And so it's like a cycle that just continues and continues.
Even if it wasn't gay related, like even if it was just like telling kids about sexuality at such a young age, I would be against it because it's just
Yeah,
It's just creepy.
sexualizing the kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's too young. It's like me, like somebody going out in public. No, I think most parents, like in public, if there's like somebody going out there, oh, can I talk to your little kid about transgender issues? Like the parents would be like, hell no, like get the fuck
Yeah.
away from me. But like when it comes to it's like this, like their sneaky way of getting bypassing that. Even like if you say, oh, I'm a teacher or I got a PhD, and you said that to the parents always like I think 99% of the time if you approach them on the street, they would say no. So I don't see the problem why people are so mad over this bill. It's like so, it's to protect the kids, but also the parents because the parents don't want their kids to be exposed to that. The parents can raise their kids however they want.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
that's
thing. They don't want them to have that freedom of choice.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't want them to be able to speak against this. They fear the hierarchy. They fear, you know, a mother and a father teaching their young how to get along in the hierarchy properly understood. So they want to. That's why they, you know, sabotage everything. That's why our economy is set up the way that it is. That's why it's harder to live off of a single income. In the vast majority of cases. And so you send your kid off to school to learn what you think is just read, writing, arithmetic. And then suddenly they come home and, oh, I think I'm trans. Oh, I think I'm gay. Oh, I think I'm this. I'm non-binary, this, that, and the other, because some teacher explained that this was a possibility and this was a thing. I mean, we were all kids. We wanted to be dragons. We wanted to be wolves. We wanted to be everything else. But now,
Yeah.
but, you know, our teachers didn't champion that and tell us we could be that. But, you know, meanwhile, a boy who maybe likes a girl toy is being told, "Oh, that can make you trans." I remember me and my little brother watching TV one day back when the I don't know if y'all remember this, but the For Real Friends, like the animal toys, they were like aimed at girls mostly. But my brother looked at that and was like, "I kind of want the panda," and I think I was just kind of like, "You don't want that. That's for girls, dude," and everything like that. You know, just kind of jeering at him. But in this day, but we were able to have that conversation, just move on, and that was the end of it. But
Yeah.
meanwhile, if a kid were to see like the toy aimed at girls now and be like, "Oh, I like that," they'd be like, "Oh, you might be trans. That's a girl toy. Wow," and everything like that. So that's
They're
that's
making trauma out of something that was never traumatic.
Mhm.
yes.
What do you guys think about that one guy that was shouted down? I don't remember what university, but he was trying to talk at a university. I
yeah.
think his name is
You're
Jeff
talking
Younger.
about
Oh,
Jeff
the father
Younger,
who lost
yeah,
custody of
the
his
guy with the
child
son.
because
Yeah.
his wife freaking just blindsided him.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
fucked up.
That's another great group of guys that if you guys don't know about, you should definitely check out the KGB show. Caden, Gabe, and Blake, they run this show, and they're actually really good friends with Jeff. And yeah, it's just bizarre. You know, you see these kids that have grown up in this, I don't even know what you even call it anymore, degenerate culture that has enabled every single, you know, inane thought that has come into their minds, and you see that play out.
Mhm.
You know, there's no sense of tact or taste or logic or anything to be found. Just, I'm this, you accept it, and if you don't accept it, we will scream, we will spit, we will punch, we will scream, and just this is what that gets you when you allow for these caveats, when you champion these caveats that break the hierarchy. I'm harping on the hierarchy because it's a concept that is old as time, but like I'm kind of working on a way to kind of put it into words and then package it and give
Yeah.
it to my audience, you know. But yeah,
It's weird too because people with that kind, like those kids in that classroom that were shouting the guy down, it's this weird, I don't know what you call it, like duality where they're obsessed with, like, you know, being different and all this crap, but they're weirdly very authoritarian. It's like this weird mix where it's super confusing. Like I've tried talking to some when I was in college, and like they had like a, you know, oh, live and let live, but they were still very, very authoritarian. Like, if you're not with us, you're like this bad person, blah blah blah. I just I couldn't.
Meeting my first in college was the
Uh-huh.
first thing she told me was that I was a cisgender, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
what the
And that really, cisgender, I think, just means like just normal for the most part.
Yeah,
Which is weird to use that
cisgender.
as a pejorative.
You mean the real one?
Yeah.
The one that is true?
Yeah,
But
it's. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, you can go.
I was just saying, it's
I
just
think I was just gonna
it's
with
just
that.
so weird how like it's like a weird yin and yang thing, but they're so authoritarian and very like they want this weird order to things, but it's under the disguise of being so open and free. It's
Yeah. What I just thought about too is it's kind of like a very emotional thing too. It's
Mhm.
almost like I think that's why it's sort of like there's guys that fall into it too that identify as all these different things. But like when I first started noticing it, it was like maybe like 10 years ago. And I was like, what is that? Like cisgender,
Mhm.
something sexual, something sexual. Like I was like, what the hell was all this stuff? And it's almost like an identity crisis. Like it's almost like changing clothes. You know, like how girls like changing through different
I
outfits.
do
Like
think.
okay, one day like they feel like a certain way, so they put on like a yellow dress with some, I don't know, I can't dress like a, but they have like a hat on. And it's funny because they like dressing up. So the whole gender identity is like changing like dresses like every day or whenever, and that's how
Mhm.
the whole gender fluid came about. It, I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
I can't
Well,
explain it. You have to be very
yeah.
emotional to like get into it.
Yeah, or just broken, and maybe that
Yeah,
brokenness is what manifests, all
yeah,
these negative feelings, and then you add the
Mhm.
trauma of, anything as nebulous as, oh, you like the girl toy, you're a girl, to something as, sad and unfortunate as being molested. You get those emotions exploited, and that's what you
hmm,
get. As far as their weird free thinking authoritarianism, I think that kind of, at the least, it comes from a place of, we've been marginalized and we've been brutalized all these years, so
Mhm.
we are free to be, but we also need to make sure that any opposition is stomped out because we don't want to be marginalized or put down anymore.
Yeah.
um or at the worst, they're literally possessed by demons, and this is just the reaction of the demon to uh
yeah, maybe.
positive, actual thing. Because I do think that a lot of them are demon possessed. I mean, you don't scream like a banshee and say nothing and look the way you do and not have something negative,
Yeah.
manifesting itself outside of you. You see the way that some of these people do their makeup and
Yeah,
dress.
yeah.
It's a
And they
rough
and they
road, but
and they literally do scream like demon, like like
Banshees.
literally,
Yeah.
like they just scream. It's
I
so odd.
mean, you're familiar with me going on about demonic possessions, and I definitely am all about that. The whole transgender movement is a demonic attack on identity.
there you go.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. I guess I guess show of hands, like, is everyone here, I guess, Christian, or because I would say I'm rather agnostic or atheist or whatever you want to call it. Anyone else, or
I acknowledge Christ as Savior and King of all.
and I think Evine, you're Christian. The two Daves, are you guys? What are you guys? What would you guys consider yourselves?
I don't
I'm
know
kind of
what
like
the hell I am.
yeah. I'm a no. I don't think I know enough about Christianity
Hmm.
to like be. I was raised Catholic, but
Hmm.
I pray a lot, and I do believe in God, and I think we're eternal beings. I
Excuse me.
think our bodies are just temporary vessels, and we're eternal spirits. I don't know what happens afterwards, but I know that if whatever it is that you're doing now, it's gonna matter after your body is no longer doesn't exist anymore.
Hmm.
So I believe in the spirit world.
I guess for a BZ, like for me being agnostic or atheist, like, do you think that I've asked this question before, I think, to Evine, but like, do you think that I'm somehow missing out on something by not, finding Christ, or
Well, I can tell you as a person who was raised in church and was under the Christian moniker for my entire life, all the way through college,
Mm-hmm.
that there are things that you just don't understand and really lean into until you actually have that moment where you do truly come into Christ. And and I'm not telling you that as you're missing out because Jesus is rad and you're just sad. I'm telling you that as a person that went to a deeper level with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mere surface level. I show up to church on Sunday and then live my life outside of it. Like, this is an everyday moment to moment thing. And of course, we stumble, we fall as well, but eventually you got to come back. I think that it's going to be more difficult to see the spiritual implications of things for someone who is agnostic and
Mm-hmm.
or atheist. They're not going to get that more esoteric spiritual side of things. Like, for me, this is a wicked upper echelon that is pumping the schemes of Satan en masse to everybody and dismissing it as, just human rights, racial equity, sexual liberation, gender equality, and all these other things. Meanwhile, you have, again, I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to keep coming back to it. The hierarchy, properly understood, all this will be straightened out and streamlined. But to me, when God is not at the top and you haven't had that moment with God, even if you are a professing Christian, as I was, and God is not at the top, you try to put him down at the second rung or the third rung or something like that. You instantly just about put Satan in a position to come in and whisper sweet nothings in your ear that would cause you to see things. And I don't think it's necessarily evil. I think that most atheists are just seeing things for the way that they are, and they're just doing the best that they can with the information that they've got. Very evidence, very like
Mm-hmm.
what we can see, what we can test out. I get it. I understand it, but
So you
the
think
Bible
that
says to take.
you think at a certain point, like, you just can't understand things, so that uh that void is
I think yeah.
spirituality.
I think there's just a gap there, and you you miss out on certain things because you're looking at the concrete, but you're not looking at the giant R that's behind it. I know that sounds kind of nebulous, but that's the best example I could pull out right now on the spot. But the Bible says to taste and see that the Lord is good, and to ask for Him, seek for Him, and knock for Him. And I'm a witness that if you do those things, He will reveal Himself to you, and new things like stories in the Bible that I had read over and over again all throughout children's church and everything begin to come alive, and not just come alive, but become practically relevant to this day. Very relevant to this day. It's actually kind of stunning. Um, and you find that a lot of people, both as self-proclaimed atheists and agnostics, and people who claim Christianity but aren't really living in it, really don't know what's in the Bible. They think it's just this loosely connected book from years ago. But if you actually read through it, you would see that the Bible is self-referential, that it is a practical guidebook. Of course, accounting for Israel's history, accounting to how God moved amongst His people, and all signs point to Jesus, that kind of thing. But what he was saying, he keeps repeating this phrase that for those who have ears to hear, listen. And you read that, and you get the different perspective in your spirit, and then it's like, boom, yes, I understand. And I guess people just don't get to that point,
Hmm.
and I think that's how they end up missing.
I missed. You grew up Christian, or did you sort of find it later in life?
I grew up being taken to church. My parents tried to advocate for me to read the Bible as much as possible. Um, we were a faith professing family, professed Christian, but I'm realizing now that there were things that even in my household that weren't just up to par, but they were doing the best that they could with the information that they had at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a big difference between the family that kind of passively goes to church and the family that lives in the Word of God.
And what would that like specific difference be?
The difference is one is actively practicing the faith, and the other one is just kind of doing the traditional thing.
Just kind of doing
You know,
like lip service kind of stuff, and
exactly.
okay.
Especially here in my state, it's very much tradition to go to church on Sunday. Like that's the thing. It's the Bible Belt. That's just what you do down here. But very few actually take it into practical difference. So you see it with the way that people behave to each other and the way that people just say things like they're conservative down here, but they don't know why they're conservative. Again, boomer cons. They'll just as soon be like, yeah, God said this, that, and the other. Turn around, watch internet porn for 3 hours, not doing anything with their lives, not proclaiming the gospel, anything of the sort. But they don't get it because they haven't tried to go to that level. And that's what happened with my moment. Is I saw that humanity was doomed, that humanity was not going to save itself, and so I sought out Jesus and I found him.
What do you think the future, I guess for everybody, like what do you think the future is just for the country within, I don't know, within 5 years? That's like when I see where things are going now, and I have a big, like, I have no idea what the hell is going on. I guess for you guys, like, do you have any, I guess, guess as to like, I guess as far as like, let's say, let's just stick with like mainstream media. Like, where do you see mainstream media in relation to like the American people within 5 years? You think of a farther disconnect or some kind of reaching out, or
I think they're gonna probably go extinct by then. I think it's gonna be more like just citizen journalists.
Yeah,
because like that's like the only people I really listen to nowadays.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Have I? Oh, I guess. Yeah,
She keeps like kind of like flickering, but I can't hear anything.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, BZ?
I'm kind of where you're at, man. I don't know because I'd like to agree with you, Benevolent Asshole. I'd like to say that yeah, it'll go extinct. Everyone's listening to other things, and you're right. People are listening to the smaller pundits, I guess, rather than going to the big, news. But at the same time, I see the power and the pool and the self-importance that old media puts on itself, and how people refuse to let certain things die and they uplift and champion their own. I just don't know if they're going to actually, let it go. I think that they're going to keep fighting, even if they have to just straight up lie. Like I know we're done with the Ukraine thing, and I'll keep this short, but they straight up lied to us recently about those biolabs. Like straight up told us there's no U.S. biolabs in Ukraine, only for us to pull back the old articles that talked about them setting up the U.S. biolabs in Ukraine. And it's like, how do you like live with yourself with that? Yeah. So I don't know. I think they're going to keep uplifting themselves, and I don't know what happens with us as a result, whether we just completely reject it and they have to go out of business, or they get even stronger and they go into straight up overlord mode and just lord over us. And I don't know what happens.
I think that's why they're creating the metaverse, because they're eventually going to go extinct in the real world. And like the people that volunteer to go into the metaverse, they're going to be just I don't know, just what's that thing called? Blessed or bliss and ignorance.
Oh, ignorance is bliss. Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. Yeah. They're gonna connect to the metaverse while everybody else is like, oh, okay, well, it's like it's not as bad as it used to be.
I'm also curious about like in forms of like art, like as far as filmmaking goes, as far as comic books, like the mainstream stranglehold with that is usually like traditionally been like, if something's mainstream and it's a movie, it has a quality to it that, is pretty high end. It's well, but now I see that kind of crumbling. Like I have no interest whatsoever with like anything Marvel and Star Wars now and stuff like that. So I just like will going to the movies be a thing that like people like me even care to do anymore? I'm someone I love watching movies, but you know, I can't think of anything that I've seen, even trailer wise, that I'm even remotely interested in. And I think that's gonna just. I wonder if that's gonna
Big
get
explosions
worse.
aren't doing it anymore.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
But
Heard the Batman was pretty good.
yeah, I heard that's good. I think it's gonna like get rarer and rarer. Like actual quality stuff is gonna come out from the mainstream, and so
If I
I
may interject,
go ahead.
I actually feel it's gonna. I for some reason just feel a little bit more optimistic. It's because like Americans are slowly waking up to like the mainstream media, and people have been going out of their way to make their own content regarding movies, regarding journalism. I mean, you made this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and more people are looking for stuff like this, and we are the ones who control America, not the politicians. They can believe that all they like. Um, so at this point, it's really become a tug of war. Which of us is going to show to be the strongest? And
Mm-hmm.
right now, the Americans are pretty much calling the media out on their BS. And so I definitely see CNN getting destroyed and having something a bit more wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe wholesome is not the right word, but definitely something more along these lines, like this podcast, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm curious to see like how other artists feel about these kind of subjects, because you know we're not ever gonna like be hired to do anything mainstream related. It's just not gonna fucking happen.
Nah.
So I mean, it just makes you wonder like how like on a combination between like economic wise but also like entertainment wise, how that's gonna like unfold within like 5 years. You know, like you do your comics.
Well, first we need to get Trump back, and then we can start talking about the economy.
But you know,
I think that kind of piggyback a little bit off of what Elon just said. I think that this is a great thing, because if you hadn't randomly messaged me, I would have never known this was happening. And the more we all begin to really come together and begin to, kind of cross promote and cross pollinate, these ideas will eventually get out there. And there will be a strong contingency of artists that actually are speaking about the issues that need to be talked about, that are uplifting the causes that need to be uplifted, that we're speaking on things that need to be spoken about. I think that we're all on these islands and we see the art scene as a whole being what it is, and we get discouraged. But if we begin to really pull together and really begin to talk amongst ourselves and collab amongst ourselves, and I saw it just by reaching out on my end. I started my account in October 2021, and people aren't as big as you think that they are. You just reach out and say like, hey, we should do something. Boom, you do a couple collabs, you begin to reach more people. And so we keep doing that. We keep our foot on the gas. We keep speaking. We keep creating. We keep making. I think that we will begin to see a bigger economy for what we're selling and what we're doing. But it's going to take the few to get the ball rolling. And I think that this has been a very much a white pill experience, because I'm glad to have met artists that align more with what I've been saying.
yeah, it's weird that like.
See, Senior Filth, you should have started out with him instead of me.
What do you mean?
I don't know. He just sounds a lot more eloquent than I did when I first started.
Really? Because I thought I was
shivering like a
doing some
rabbit
rambling
when I first got on the show, because that was the first time I was able to finally speak up about what I believed in.
It just takes practice. Like, I mean, first episodes of this show were just pretty awful. So, you know what I mean? So you just get better. You get better at like, learning how to like express yourself, and sometimes it like you need like a couple of attempts of saying the same point to like get it to sound the way you originally want it to sound. You know what I mean? So it's it's been fun. I want the show to evolve and see where this grows. But eventually for me, like I want just art in general to get to a point where it's just entertaining and fun. Like that's why I got into art and music and stuff, because it's just so much fun. But this like obsession with like politics, that it's weird that like this show is kind of politics based, but it feels like it's been like thrusted, and it's just it's that nowadays because of the left. Like they just can't help themselves. I mean, maybe it's
I,
always been like that, because I've been watching older stuff and I see some stuff pop in and now and then. I'm like, ugh. But it's just so intense now that it's like it worries me, because you know I want kids to like get into this stuff because it's genuinely enjoying, fun.
Yeah, I think that maybe we all like that's how we got into it.
Mhm.
I don't know about y'all, but I didn't start off wanting to make SPLAT Rabbit from the get go. I wanted to make my Dragon Ball, man. I wanted to
Yeah.
make, just fun, like pure bliss. Like let's go on adventures in faraway places and let's craft stories that will last for generations. Like that's why I wanted to get into it. And over time, I just realized that I was never going to get into the comic industry. I was never going to get into the animation industry, and that's a combination of skill because I do have a lot to learn as well. But even if I had the skill, I wouldn't be able to sit there and animate on your project when you're talking about the things that you're talking about and lauding the stuff that you are. Like my conscience would just eat me alive if I didn't just outright quit and get blacklisted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a level of compromise there. Like, because I've seen, like, actually the other day I saw like this super super talented artist that was complaining about the same thing, that he wished that he knew all the things that he had to do to get hired on the studio.
Mhm.
And this guy is like incredible. His stuff is really awesome. And like I messaged him through like messengers, like, or it's probably because you're not sharing your pronouns and your whole thing. Because I notice these things. I notice these things. Like some of these more successful like artists, like they're good, but then they also they're sharing all this. Oh, wear a mask or get
Yeah.
vaccinated. I can tell they're like compromising. I don't know if they actually believe it, but they're compromising their character just to work where they're working at.
Yeah, it's a shame because like there's a guy I follow called Argus Inc. on Instagram.
Hmm.
One of the like the most talented guys I
Oh,
follow,
okay. Yeah.
but the guy only has like a couple hundred and followers, and it's a shame because he's upfront about like his beliefs,
Hmm.
but you can tell it does affect like
Yeah.
his his workflow
Well, like
because
I think I brought this up too before. Like, I don't have like a big following. I'm like whatever artist too, but like I remember for like a long time, I only had like 700 something followers, whatever you call it, on Instagram,
Mhm.
and then it kept fluctuating up and down within like a 10 follower, like a range of 10,
Yeah.
and then eventually I just got rid of all my political posts. I was like, let me try this, and I got rid of all my political posts, and I created this the other more political account, and then like I shot from like 700 something to like I think I broke 1,000, so I'm like one something, and not like big numbers, but it's like I finally was able to like make some progress instead of just kind of, because I was stuck in that like same 10 like range of 10
Yeah.
where it was like it would. I was like in 770, and then would go to 780, and then go back to 770, and then go back to 780 for a long time.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got rid of those posts, like it went bloop. I was like, what the hell? And I'm still kind of like progressing little by little.
Yeah.
Well,
And it
part of
does make
it.
a difference. Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, part of it, and I don't think that because I didn't understand it until I first started coming back into art, and I was like going for my pop art angle, is that a little bit of it is actually like acknowledging the business side of social media, using it as the tool that it is.
Yeah.
You kind of have to work with the times and see what's popular and what's causing growth, and you have to kind of work with it. Not and you don't have to compromise to do any of that. Like you can get it done, but it's a matter of molding your content to it. So, for example, on
Mhm.
Instagram, what you have to do in order to grow is to post your infographics. You got to do posts with multiple things in it. You can't just post the one picture. You won't get it far in the algorithm. The other thing is you got to embrace those reels. And so that's what I started doing. I mean, the comics, it's kind of easy. You just upload the panels and boom, that's your multi pictured post. But then with the reels, I was like, well, how am I going to make this work? And so that's when I started doing, I don't know if y'all have seen it, where I do like an old school style rubber hose thing where I put the filters over it and then just basically
really
play
cool.
the comics again.
Let me take this
And
moment to geek out over that style because I adore it.
thank you so much. All glory to God. But yeah, you got to kind of play into the algorithm. You got to use social media for the tool that it is. And that's my answer for Instagram. And that's the one that I'm kind of like good at. I've noticed a pretty good growth there. I would not know what to tell you to do on any of the others. Twitter is an anomaly. I think you have to already have a set amount of clout and like pull to survive on Twitter.
Yeah.
And YouTube is just constantly like stonewalling itself, and like it's a weird thing. But Instagram for sure, definitely lean into process shots, put your comics in panels, and embrace the reels because that's what you got to do right now.
All right. Damn. We can go over most stuff, but we should probably start winding down. It's getting a little long. I guess. Is there anything that real quick you just wanted to touch on that you had? You wanted to get off your chest or anything like that?
I feel like I've gotten a lot off my chest on this thing. I feel like I've found a tribe and was able to speak freely. So thank y'all for inviting me, man.
All right, no problem, dude. All right, I guess we'll just end it there. BZ, if you want to just plug your info, your Instagram, whatever you want to.
Check me out at Beezinktoys on Instagram, Gab Social. You can follow me on Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel, though I'm not doing anything with it. Also follow the SPLAT Rabbit Instagram page. It's a smaller page where I post a bonus comment for my content for my comic. That's a mouthful. Thank you guys for having me.
Do you have any plans for the future as far as like your artwork, any merch, or anything like that?
I do have a merch store currently on my website. All those links are in the bio, beezinktoys.com. I eventually would like to get some new stuff in there. But as far as, right now we're just going to keep the foot on the gas with SPLAT Rabbit, get content out, get it out there. I would eventually like to print a book and get that circulating. And then as time goes on, the main goal right now that I see in my head is to eventually open up a gallery where conservative artists don't even have to worry about where they got to go in order to get their art seen and like have like a major opening. It's kind of a lofty one, but I figured you need to at least have one like big, huge goal. Otherwise, what's life worth living? So, conservative gallery imminent. We just gotta put in the work.
Yeah,
see where it goes.
All right. Anybody else want to plug anything that they're kind of having their horizons, or they're good? No.
All good.
All right. I guess for me, I'm gonna soon do putting out more art out there. I have a music mixtape show. I'm in the works, so you see, I have the turntables in the back. So,
Very cool.
be on the lookout for that. All right. So I guess that's the show. I'm Senor Filth. Thank you to my guest BZ. Thank you guys for watching. All right. Peace.
See you later.